Good day, my name is Liam Flaherty and I authored the book Growing South African Trees as Bonsai. Today I would like to feature one of the species that appeared in the book, the Dovyalis caffra, the Kei Apple. The genus name Dovyalis describes the spear-like thorns or spines that are found on the plant. The species name caffra is due to be changed to Afra, and I believe in 2026. A synonym for the genus name, which we often find outside of South Africa, is Aberia. The common name Kei Apple relates to where they're very commonly found close to the Kei River. I have seen or heard of examples of this species being grown as bonsai in Australia, Mediterranean Europe, and the southern states of North America. In the landscape industry, we use these trees as an option for a semi-evergreen small tree with non-invasive roots. Should one see nursery stock of a Kei apple, it would be safe to assume that it wouldn't be very good bonsai material. As seen by the one in my garden here, they've got very long, spiny, leggy growth and not very evident ramification and rather large leaves. But they are in actual fact very good for bonsai, especially for beginners. And I'd like to list some of the reasons why these are good for bonsais, particularly good for those new to bonsai. They maintain a fairly constant condition throughout the year. So they're listed as semi-evergreen, but I can tell you mine here in Pretoria, I've actually never really lost any leaves growing them outdoors the whole year, even through winter. You might find spring molting, so just before the spring growth or the flush of spring growth, you might find that they will have a little bit of leaf drop. And I imagine that in a container in colder environments than mine, they would maybe perhaps lose more leaves. Having said that, they are really tolerant to most conditions. They can be grown in shade, semi-shade, in full sun, and will tolerate a lot of cold. They are very fast growing, and I think that the busy hands of beginners, these trees could keep them busy, and they won't weaken easily with a lot of pruning and attention. So being quite frost hardy, they're also rather drought hardy. They will tolerate irregular watering, and obviously within reason. But I mean, they're fairly difficult trees to kill. Being rather frost resistant in a container, you would want to watch for very severe frost if you are in areas like that. They are relatively pest and disease free. I personally, over the years, have had no problems. We have seen in our area something that resembles the flea beetles that have caused a lot of damage. But besides for that, I haven't seen or heard of much problems with pests. They will flower as bonsai, particularly the males. As seen in my book's example by Andre Moller of Sabi, his male tree in my book was in flower. The females will fruit, and fruit can be seen on the bonsai of the late Louis van der Walt, as pictured here. They are easy to propagate. Cuttings take very easily. You can easily attempt truncheon cuttings, and cuttings develop very, very quickly. So you can get quick results in a short amount of time. They are easy to repot, and their roots are very, very suitable for bonsai. Even in pots, they will produce good girth on trunks and branches. Let me grab the cutting that I created. My cutting here, I actually don't recall, is perhaps 2 or 3 years old. I've already had to repot it in this basket pot, and it had filled the container, and I've been able to achieve quite a lot of girth already. And in my confined space, I have to keep it back because of my space, but my space available. But the amount that I've cut back is perhaps shoots about over 1 meter long already. And you can see that even just from a young cutting, which wasn't a truncheon cutting, it was perhaps a twig about that size, the amount of girth that I've been able to achieve. The advantages that the Kei Apple has as bonsai does come at the cost of lacking taper. So although they will produce good girth, the girth produced is often lacking in taper. So it's almost very sort of thick cylindrical growth. Coupled to this, it has very, very coarse ramification. You will not achieve a fine ramification, and you should always expect to have quite a coarse looking bonsai. Furthermore, the leaves do not reduce very well in size. Although there is leaf reduction, you can't expect tiny leaves. Even though they don't really produce ramified results, they will sprout from old wood and they will bud back. In developing my tree, my observation was that when pruning back, only the end bud or terminal bud would actually be activated. After pruning, you won't get back budding. However, on long branches that are left to develop to thicken, once you cut a very long branch back, they will bud all over that branch. However, what is also very notable about this tree is that buds often just produce leaves. The buds actually don't always produce a branch or a shoot. So, so quite often when you cut back hard, you'll just get, it's almost like there's two buds, like some buds just make leaves and some buds will actually branch. However, what I can tell you is that the fair amount of ramification that I've been able to achieve in mine, which is a 15-year-old tree, was almost solely produced by defoliation. These are incredibly strong trees and very forgiving. And I've been actually able to successfully defoliate this tree up to 3 times per season. So any ramification that I've achieved, I've actually achieved it through defoliation. What we often find with them is that they will continue to sprout from the same place, and you can actually see this almost reverse taper that that is actually being created as this tree continuously buds from this point, which almost creates this swelling. A preferred style for this tree for me is upward growing branches. To produce like one canopy of foliage. When trying to create, let's say, contrived horizontal branches and pads of foliage, the ramification and the leaf size aren't very lending to that, and more successful, in my opinion, Kei apples are achieved with more upward growing branches to try and produce one canopy of foliage. I created this scroll by hand painting acrylic on canvas as my almost monochromatic depiction of the Kei River mouth where these trees come from. I then had it sewed to a piece of fabric, and the fabric pattern was a symbol to me of water, particularly of the Kei River's water. I had the stand made, and this allows me to exhibit my African themed scroll anywhere that I choose. So I'm not relying on it to having to be hanging from a wall. The pot is by a Johannesburg potter who I thought is really creating great South African themed pots that I really thought suited the tree well, and just by luck I was able to scout a table that was just the perfect size. I bought my accent plant pot from him as well to match it, and a friend gifted me a succulent of some type that would that picked up with these sort of purple and sort of reddish tones that I had in my display. And I thought that that was the thought process behind the aesthetics of my display. A unique trait of my Kei Apple in particular compared to others is that mine hasn't actually produced those spear-like spines or thorns that the tree is associated to. On long sacrificial branches in previous years, I did find those thorns at the end of those sacrificial branches. I also thought that mine in particular, its genetics, produced much smaller leaves than other examples that I've seen. Should you be shopping for a Kei Apple, try to choose one with smaller leaves, or try to take cuttings from specimens that have got smaller leaves. I trust that you've enjoyed the video, and I highly recommend Kei Apple as bonsai, especially for those new to bonsai. And if you haven't got my book yet, you can order it directly from me on the email address that is now on the screen. Thank you.